Hi, my name's Heather, and today we're going to be going through pre-prepping for your socials before Christmas. And this is in conjunction with Viridor. So, um, the purpose in doing your pre-prepping for socials before Christmas is that it is such an important time that everyone takes a holiday. It is the most popular time that most people take a holiday. So it gives you a really good break if you can clear your emails, get your socials all scheduled, and it means that you can go ahead and have a proper break without worrying that your social media is going to die a death in that 2 week period. So as of today, the 11th of October, we are 75 days from Christmas, which is a little bit scary. That's 11 Saturdays, so we've got 11 weekends, 2 paydays until the big day. Now, it's worth noting that while 11 weekends or 75 days might not sound too bad, the 2 paydays is a big thing to look at. I think the current stats last year were about a third of people have completed their Christmas shopping by the end of November, which effectively only gives you one more payday. And 50% have absolutely completed all their Christmas shopping by the second week in December. So there's actually not an awful lot of time between now and people buying, so you've been able to actually advertise your products or services before Christmas. So some reasons for pre-prep, and the most popular day that people take off work tends to be during Christmas and New Year. The week between Christmas and New Year is an average 32% less work emails are sent. So looking at the most common days booked off, and this works around your bank holidays you already have. You've got the 29th of December, has been the most popular 2020, 2021 and 2022. And then Christmas Eve in 2018 and the 27th on December. So people are really utilising the bank holidays that are already there and extending their time off. And I think we can all vouch that our emails do die down a little bit during that Christmas period. So it makes sense that you pre-plan everything else. So what are the objectives and the purpose in this webinar? So we're looking at diary planning and pre-prepping your posts, how to batch create to allow you time off, and scheduling and helpful tools that might be useful to you. So how to batch create. So we're going to look at key messages, holiday dates, generic dates, 2025 look ahead, and less formal years overviews. So these are some really good content that you can put in. What I would say is between that Christmas and New Year period, it is very normal and expected that your visibility engagement will drop because people are out of work mode. People are truly in the holiday mode. However, it is a good time to sell if what you're doing is either you've got something in the sales, if you've got a product, or if you do something through business or personal development or fitness, then that's a really good time to sell during that period because people have maybe got a little bit of Christmas money, a little bit of time, or they're getting to that new year where they want to really think about what is 2025 going to look like for them. So if we look at key messages, we're looking at messages that you want to put out in the run up to Christmas, but also anything that is really relevant in that period, time-wise and time sensitive between Christmas and New Year. So that could be your last orders. If you are if you've got a product or you're doing one-to-ones with people, what are the last dates that people can do that? You want to create an urgency around that to push those last-minute bookings and those last-minute sales. And also thinking ahead to January. So it might be that December's not actually your key time, but January is your key time. So you want to be thinking ahead and getting your customers to think ahead to January. And what do they need to know? Is there a booking last orders for that or booking dates? And this book now for I think people are in this frame of mind that, right, go get my Christmas shopping done. I've got to get all my food in for Christmas Day and whatever activities are going on. And people are in a very operational, proactive mood in the run up to Christmas. And if you are there saying, like, book now for this, you've got your Christmas sorted, get booked for this between Christmas New Year period, or get booked for January now, It's a really good time to make use of that proactiveness that people have, whether they want to have it or not. It's a good time for that. You also want to think about the holiday dates. If you are completely closing down, then you want people to know that you're closing down, so that, again, it's just giving them a pre-warning. Maybe they are planning to use your services or buy your products, and if they don't know when you're closing, they could be thinking, right, I'll deal with that. That's further down my list, and I'll deal with that later on. But actually, if they know you're closing, you either might find they'll book earlier with you or buy earlier. And same, they might be pre-planning for January or get stuff sorted in for January earlier if they know that you're closing. So it's really important to advertise when you're going on holiday. And not everybody does this, but I think it's good customer service as well for people to know what to expect. And then the countdown to coming back as well. So you want to build that level of urgency. If people have missed your advertising pre-Christmas, then you want people to know when you're back open again. It is also really good that if you are not doing stuff until January, or you're not opening your doors to services or products until January, that countdown will give them probably that wee urge that they need to go, actually, I'm going to drop them an email or a message just now, because that is something that I want to do, and I want my email to be at the top of their inbox when they come back. So your holiday dates are really important. Don't think just because it's you going off having a jolly, having some time off, that it's not important to your customers. Customer service is really important. And I think people like to know what people are up to, what people are doing. So your holiday dates do matter. There's other generic dates that you can work around as well. So you've got Christmas Day, New Year, obviously, the obvious ones. So have a think, are you going to be doing posts for Christmas Day and for New Year's, either New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Hogmanay? What are you doing for those dates? Are you going to bother doing something? No, actually, people do look at social media on these dates, but they're likely to scroll by just another generic Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, etc. Those generic posts, yes, it does get visibility, and therefore it's ticking those touch points that people need, multiple touch points to buy and to build that rapport and trust with you. But have a real think, if you can stand out a little bit more, what would it be? Maybe you just do a video saying Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, etc. Maybe at New Year you do a video to say what your focus is and your goals are as an individual or a company for the year ahead. So the generic dates are really important to work around and to be aware of. I think these are ones everyone are aware of. But just think, how do you stand out on these days? And also events. What events are potentially you're doing over this time as well? So for instance, if you are an employment consultant or a recruiter, or you are, I have a friend who writes CVs and helps women get into better paid jobs. She is so busy between that Christmas and New Year period that she will run webinars and Zoom events people can jump onto and learn how to do their CV, how to get the confidence up for the year ahead. So it might be doing events between this time, which is quite rare, but it might be ideal for you depending what industry that you're in. You also want to be advertising in this time about events for the start of January, because we all have those days where we don't even know what day it is between Christmas and New Year. And we start looking ahead, we start planning, start looking at what 2025 looks like. And if you're advertising events or trainings or anything you have coming up in 2025, it's a really good time that people will start booking as well. I know myself, for any training courses or any one-to-one consultancy or business growth workshops I do, if I advertise between Christmas and New Year, then I will get bookings and interest and questions at least through about them. And then going a little bit further into looking ahead for 2025. So we have covered off a lot of the around events and services that are coming up, but it's a really nice time to actually set your goals and commit to what you're planning to do for 2025 and let people know. So it might be, yeah, we've talked about generic dates and events that you're going to be doing within January in that Christmas period, but what are you doing further on in the year? Do you have new stuff you're looking to launch? Have you got bigger events coming up, conferences coming up? What have you got for the full plan of 2025? Not only does this kind of push you to actually make those plans and put some stuff down on paper, there's a level of accountability for you for actually putting it out there to people that here's my goals and here's my plans and aspirations for 2025. People really like to know that. People can use it as motivation for themselves. It also has this sort of subconscious part of it where people know that you plan ahead, that you have goals, that if people come to you with what they want to do, they're coming to you with their goals and they have an expectation that you will then deliver on their goals and what they ask you to do. So by showing that you do that for yourself and for your company, it's really important. And that's not I'm going to go to the gym every day in January. This is long-term company goals, plans, events, services that you want to let people know about. So these key messages, holiday dates, generic dates, looking ahead, it's all around your core services, what you're offering, timescales, etc. But you can be creating some less formal content as well. So you can be having a look at your highlights of the year. So look back in 2024, what have been your highlights? And it's such a nice thing to do, both for your clients, for your company, for you, to look back and go, you know what? Actually, there's been some really good times, because as we get into December, it's really hard sometimes to, despite the fact it's the festive season, it can be hard sometimes to actually be positive because you're busy, you've got Christmas going on, everything's coming to the end of the year. But actually, if you stop and take time to look back at all the highlights from the year, even if there's been, I mean, we all know business is a roller coaster, but what are those highlights? What are the things you're proud of? What achievements did you meet your goals? And tell people about them. It's a nice way to stay visible without being too salesy through Christmas and New Year as well. It's a sort of content people are more likely to watch than a list of your services. And what is your learning? So I think it's safe to say every year in business, we all learn something. So what have your learnings been this year as well? Because people love to hear from other people and what their ups and downs have been and what they've learned from it, because other people learn from that as well. I do business growth management training, and I know that every up and down I've had is a learning that I can pass on and stop my customers then having those same up and down journeys. So what are your learnings from the year? It's also worth looking at your most popular content through the year. So what has been most popular on your socials? And have a look at that and reshare them and just go, these would, you can even do a week series of, we're going to reshare and repurpose all the our most popular content from this year. It stops you having to recreate stuff. You know you'll get the good engagement because you've had that already. They're proved posts that work. And people like that. And you generally find that only 10% of your followers will actually see content when it's put out. So you will be able to put this back out and maybe a couple will see it, they've already seen it, but you'll also get another minimum 10% seeing that again. It's also a nice way to say, you know, we're going to reshare content that's been popular this year. You've loved it, we've loved it. Let's see it again for those who might have missed it. And then you can repurpose your content as well. So obviously, like we've said multiple times already in the last 20 minutes, it's such a busy period in November, December. This is why you need to think about it now. Get it done in advance. But repurpose your content. If you've done videos, put them through a transcription program like HappyScribe and get all the transcription out. And then you can use something like ChatGPT to turn that into a blog. Yes, you have to go through it, make it sound like you, get the tone right, check all the details on it. But you can start repurposing your content as well. If you've done any panel events or longer video content, then cut it down into little short, sharp pieces. and have a look through. If you've done lots of tips and hints during the year, can you pull them all together into a blog and put that out? So you're trying to batch create content without having to really find lots of new content, because unless you are one of the niche industries where this is your busy period, then you don't want to be spending November, December making up brand new content that we know is going out in a quieter period. So what can you repurpose and reuse? Now, the advantage of all these types of posts is they're great for batch creation. So you can create a post for, say, your last orders, create the image for it, and then you can reuse that post just with different colored images or different images, but you can reuse the post because there are certain things that are set. Your last orders are set, your holiday dates are set, so you can put this out multiple times and batch create these in advance. They're time sensitive in that there are certain times that these will need to go out, but they can be pre-prepped and pre-scheduled in advance. Whereas you're more time sensitive in regards to this must go out right now without any warning because the brand new policy that's come in, for instance. That's different. You can't pre-plan for that. So you want to get this stuff that you can batch create. You want to get all this done in advance. Okay. If you're unsure of what you're wanting to post, if you're finding that you've done all the posts that we've looked at in the previous, or some of them apply, some won't, but you're still wondering, right, okay, I need some more posts, then this incorporating your pillars of content is a really good way to always have this with you when you're doing your social media planning. And they all have different purposes. So your credibility posts are really, why should people buy from you? Now, even if you have been recommended by somebody, people are automatically going to go to your socials or your website, and they're going to want to see why they should buy from you. Because if they're looking at 3, 4 different companies all doing the same thing and all advertising well, then they want to see that, well, why that person? You know, is it testimonials? Have you got good before and after case studies or pictures? Now, I'd say before and afters is one that is really, really good, and everybody has before and after, no matter what industry that you are in. For instance, the before and after of this webinar is that you've come on here wanting to pre-plan your socials, that's your before, and the after is you will walk away with lots of ideas and plans that you can then utilize, and that's the after. It doesn't matter what you do. If you install kitchens, if you are an accountant, if you're an HR, if you sell a bottle of gin, it doesn't matter what you're in, you have a before and after. If you have a product, then somebody is looking for a gift for somebody at Christmas time. So the before is they're looking for a gift. They don't currently have this gift. And the after is they have the gift, it's been bought. And what you do in the middle to sell that is your whole sales and marketing technique. So that's your before and afters. For accountants and HR, people come to you with their problems, with their accounts, with their HR issues. You go through a process, they come out the other end. So everybody has this before and after. And I think a lot of services feel that they don't have it, but they do. Whatever somebody asks you, that's their before, and whatever is the other side is the after. So you can do your case studies are really good before and afters. So you want to really cement your credibility. And this is a really, while it doesn't always get a lot of engagement, it's an important one you should put in anyway, despite the fact you might not get engagement. And I think as well, it's really important between the Christmas and New Year period, you have a few of these in here, because people have got time to do their research between Christmas and New Year. They're not on a time scale. So the more you can get them to trust you in that period, the more likely you are to get the business. So your promotional posts are your sales type posts, and these can be really black and white in that we've got a post-Christmas sale on, this is the deals. You can talk about your clients and who you work with and what you do with them. It's a much more comfortable way of saying tell people what you do. You're talking about something you're working with somebody. You can talk about events, what your services are. So you can be quite black and white with what you do, but if you can maybe tie it into a case study or a story about a client, even if it's anonymous, then it allows you to sell your products without being too salesy. Your you posts are really important, and I know not everybody likes getting their face out on social media, but it is so important. People buy from people, and any of the marketing and sales stats and reports you read over the last 24 months is people are going back to face. Now that might be even if you only market on social media, they still need to see your face. There is a level of trust that is built. 7 hours of face-to-face is what people need to really buy in and trust you. So if you get your face out there, you can do behind the scenes, you can do introductions, you can do a day in the life of. Again, all of this can be pre-prepped. You don't need to do any of this in the time. But make sure you are visible. And then your education and entertain ones are really easy to pre-prep as well. And these are the ones that will get you the most shares, engagement, and follows and saves because you're giving something back to people. The education one is kind of does what it says in the tin. You're giving away top tips and tricks, free information. It can be downloads from your website. It can be blogs. It can be discussion points where maybe it's a pre-recorded interview with somebody on a specific point. It can be guides, and it can also be mistakes and solutions. So going back to that, what has your learnings been through this year, and talk about that. The entertainment ones are just almost just taking it back a step and being a little bit more, well, you totally fall into the festive period here and just be a little more festive and light-hearted and not selling anything. You're just giving across your personality. So this can be questions and polls. It can be memes if that works for you. Doesn't work for everybody. Be careful with that one. You don't offend anybody, but you can get some really nice industry appropriate memes. Shout outs to other people. Maybe this is a good time to show appreciation to clients, to suppliers, to staff. You can do competitions, but be aware of competitions that if you pick up 100 followers, then you might get 20 to 30 drop off again. There's a lot of competition. People that are just out there on social media looking for competitions to win as much as they can. But it can work, but just make sure that whatever prize you're given, it is relevant to the customers you want. So for instance, if you are a gin company, but you are giving away a bottle of juice, doesn't tie in so well. Or even more so the other way, if you are it wasn't my client, but I saw a client once who, a client's client, who was selling, it was a really lovely soft drink that was an alternative to gin. And they did a competition giving away a bottle of gin. Completely pointless and defeated the purpose of what they were doing. So just be careful with competitions, just doing it the right way. Competitions are good if you do it in collaboration with somebody else that has your ideal audience that you want to get in front of. So you can do a collaborative one there. And trends and hashtag days, these are around about like really important days such as Christmas and New Year, but you also have stuff like your Nutella Day and Christmas jumper day, etc. So you can play into them and use them for a bit of creativity within the company too. And blogs are always a good one as well. And like we say, try and repurpose. If you've been doing tips and tricks through the year, then turn them into a blog. And all of these ones as well, you can be taking stuff. Go back to January, February, March. What were you putting out then? Can you reuse it over the Christmas period? Lives might not be something you want to do when you're off on holiday, but you can do these as pre-recorded videos. So interviews, updates, panel events, guest posts, tutorials. So is there content you can pre-record before Christmas that gives you that really standout video content during Christmas and New Year? A lot of people won't do any live interviews or chats or anything like that because they're on holiday. So if you have pre-recorded some interesting, relevant content and pre-scheduled that in, that will really get you some good visibility. So all these pillars, you want a nice mixture of these because they all have their different purposes within social media. So how does all of this look in reality? So you want to be batch creating. Now, I always plan a month in advance where I can, but I will always create my social media for me and for my clients from the week before Christmas right until about at least a week, if not 2 weeks after Christmas. It gives you leeway in the run up to Christmas, and it gives you that kind of space at the other side of Christmas and New Year, just to give you a really good block off. So if you can plan and batch create all your content for a month, that would be absolutely amazing and give you so much time and just a bit more freedom. So you want to use the likes of Canva. Now, those of you out there who are potentially graphic designers might want to use Adobe, but Canva is a really easy one for all of us who are not graphic designers and need a bit of support on social. So if you use Canva, you can set up your brand really quickly and create designs in there. And when I'm talking about batch creation, if you're wanting to tell people, say, 4 times about your a deal you've got going on, if you have all of your Canva set up with all your brand colours, you can create that one design and then just press the little brand button to change the colours. And you can have 4 different images that are same but on your different brand colours just by the click of a button. It's an absolute game changer. It saves so much time and it allows you to really create that content quickly, on brand and professionally. And then you can also use AI to create multiple versions of copy. So I use ChatGPT a lot. I think that it has, everyone has different mixed opinions of AI, but I think it has absolutely brilliant uses. If you've created a post, and this might be a post that if you're thinking about repurposing stuff or you've written a brand new post, you can take the content of that post and put it into ChatGPT or any other one, be it Claude or whatever one you're comfortable using. And you can say, this is a social media post I have written. I want you to write me 4 versions of this to mix up the content on my social media so it doesn't sound the same all the time. I want you to keep exactly the same tone and the same information, just mix it up a little bit for me. And it'll do it for you. It'll give you 4 other posts, and you can even ask it to adapt it for Twitter, for LinkedIn, for Facebook and Instagram, ask it to add hashtags, etc. So AI is brilliant for that. I would say always check it, always check the details, always check that it's in your tone, but it will really give you a head start into quickly creating batch content that you can then tweak to suit you. Because as much as you can feed AI information, it's never going to be you. But if you don't try it, then don't just dismiss it. It's a brilliant way of really speeding up your process, and it's not going away. It's only going to make its way into more areas of our life. So let's use the benefits from it to speed up our business processes. And create a series. So this is a really good way of creating lots of posts from one simple bit of content. So I quite often will do a blog and it'll have, say, 5 tips, or it'll have a process of tips of how to do something. Now, what you can do then is take all those individual tips or elements within the process and make a social media post from that, but link back to the blog on the website if they want more information on this. So from writing one blog with multiple tips or a process, you can then take all that out, make multiple posts, and maybe put them out. You might want to do a week's run of these or do them 1 a week for X number of weeks. What's quite good with these is that, again, you can take the blog and say to ChatGPT or Claude, whoever, and say, look, I've written this blog. These are the tips. I want to create a series of top tip posts directing people back to the blog for my social media. And it will break it all down for you. And again, go back and check it. So these are really good ways of batch creating. So look at AI and look at Canva and look at series in order to help you batch create. And then how to schedule it. So you've done all this work, but the last thing you want to be doing is going on every day and posting. So On every single platform, you can pre-schedule your content for free. So Meta Business Suite is your Facebook and Instagram, and you can use that, connect your Facebook and Instagram to it, and you can pre-schedule all your posts on there. You just put them into the diary, upload your pictures or videos or graphics, and you upload all the copy that you've written, and you just pick what date, and that will go out on that date. LinkedIn does exactly the same, and X or Twitter does exactly the same as well. You can always use a scheduling platform as well. So for instance, I use Metricool, and that'll allow you to connect all of your social media platforms to one place where you can schedule everything from the one place. And what's quite good about this is that everything's together. You can move it about if you need to, just by dragging it in the calendar. You also get all your reports and everything in one place, all your messages in one place. So what I would say is if you're just doing this for the period of Christmas, don't bother with an actual scheduling platform that brings everything together, just do directly on the site. If you're looking to put this sort of batch creation and pre-scheduling in long term, which is a massive benefit to you and your functionality within your business, then look at a scheduler. Now, if you use something like Metricool, you can get it for free if you're just putting on 2 different platforms. If you want to add on LinkedIn, it charges you, but there's loads of stuff out there. Which Magazine does a really good comparison of them. But ask about, I'd highly recommend if you are going to be trying to be on top of your socials moving forward, then it's a really nice way of doing it and having everything in one place. So let's review this. So you want to create a calendar. I use a calendar called TeamUp. It's a free online calendar that you can put everything into, but you can use a paper calendar, you can use a calendar you've got, whatever calendar works for you. Plan out your social media. What days you're putting stuff out, think about the pillars, think about all those key dates you need to advertise, and get all of that into your calendar. Once you know what that is, decide on what those posts are going to be. What is the content that you're putting into each of them? And then you want to pick how you're going to create them. So do you need to be using Canva? Do you have pictures? Are you repurposing or reusing content? And then get them all scheduled. So that calendar bit, everything we've talked about, bring it together all in a calendar for the time period that you're going to be pre-prepping your socials, get all that content created and get it all scheduled. If you have any questions on this at all, my email is on here. Please feel free to drop me an email. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, particularly if you've not been able to watch it live. We do one-to-one training and group training. There's nothing between now and 2025 for group training, but we do one-to-one if you need a bit more support to get this across the line and get yourself on holiday, then please do just drop me an email. And you'll have a link from YouTube for this training. There's some other trainings on there as well. Feel free to have a look. I hope that's been useful. I hope that you can use it and get a good break over Christmas and New Year. And please do get in touch, be it this year or next year, in order to get your socials prepped in advance.